All right, we got a lot to catch up on because I missed a vlog post last week, but I have some stories to tell from the Rich Eisen Show I did last week for Super Bowl week. Had a fantastic Super Bowl party, and it was my birthday on Super Bowl Sunday, so we celebrated my birthday. I turned 48 years young. We had wonderful guests on the show. We also want to talk today about the Bad Bunny halftime show we saw at the Super Bowl. And there's a new Thrift Store Finds episode coming out, and I have a gadget to share. That's all coming up next on episode 6 of the Sam Jack Talks Back vlog. Are you ready? Let's go! Welcome back to the vlog. It's episode 6 of Sam Jack Talks Back, the VMN Videos vlog, where I share my personal and professional growth and just day-to-day stories about what's going on in my life. We've got a lot to go over. As I said in the intro, it's been a busy week. That's why I missed an episode last week. I worked 5 days in a row, which is pretty rare for a freelancer, but got to work on the Rich Eisen Show, as I mentioned last episode. So I have some stories to tell about that. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Early calls. And just at the end of the day, I was beat, and then, just dealing with family stuff and, day-to-day of being home in the evening and actually being present for my family and doing those things. So production sort of fell by the wayside last week. And that just goes back to my intention of staying consistent. How do you all stay consistent when things get busy, when projects you're trying to do unrelated to your professional career? I mean, in a way, this is my professional career on YouTube. I'm trying to get that more of a professional so I can do less of the outside work. But as an artist or just trying to create your own projects, when you get busy in outside areas, how do you stay consistent? So leave a comment on that. I'd really appreciate that. So the Rich Eisen Show was Monday through Friday of last week. And first 2 days were a later call. First day was a noon call. Second day was a 10 a.m. call. And that was a setup. Those were both setup days. So then by Wednesday, we were ready to go live on air at 9 a.m. We were downtown on the corner of 2nd and Mission at a wonderful building, Atrium. Now, the building itself created some technical difficulties because it was a very large room with glass windows all around. So audio-wise, when voices were raised in the building, there got to be a natural echo and reverberation, which is cool for music or something like that. But when you're just trying to get voices, that was a little tricky for the mixer. I was an audio technician, audio assist, so I helped mic up everyone, set up the booth, set up the announce boxes for Rich, and he had 3 co-hosts that kind of sat to the side. Check out the pictures here over my shoulder. But lots of great guests. Showtime Deion Sanders was there. Emmett Smith, they actually got to talk together, which is pretty cool. Octavia Spencer, Keegan-Michael Key, Gronkowski was on the show. Some other players that Darius Hayward, I think was on. Is that his name? Frank Caliendo, the comedian. Both him and Keegan-Michael Key, they were on different days, but they were just hilarious. But great crew to work with. And I mentioned, too, the atrium. Let me get back to the technical difficulties. Because there was glass all around, there's lots of reflection coming in the background. So there's a lot of stuff they did to mitigate that. And they put, again, if you see here, they put kind of like these barricades, bicycle racks or guardrails, if you will, with these skirts with the Rich Eisen Show logo on them to kind of mitigate that. And had some fans come in on the side, and that was kind of cool. They got some autographs and stuff. So getting back to the guests, we had CM Punk on the show. We had Seth Rollins, me, a wrestling fan. That was great. I got to wear the actual WWF belt. I still call it WWF, sorry. The championship belt, because CM Punk is a champion. And let me tell you, I have a replica belt of an NWA U.S. Heavyweight Championship belt. That's, fairly heavy. It's metal, whatever. This is like no joke, and it's thick. It's the real deal. So I got to wear it. Check out the picture here. O'Shea Jackson, who's a huge wrestling fan, who's Ice Cube's son. Got to meet him, and they're the one. He has a side podcast aside from the Rich Eisen Show that interviewed CM Punk. Seth Rollins was actually on the Rich Eisen Show. But yeah, great guests, great crew, long days, working early in the morning. So first show day, we had to be there at 5:30 in the morning to be ready for the 9 a.m. show live. And then Thursday, Friday, we went live at 9 a.m. too. But since we had already gotten a rhythm, our call wasn't until 6:30. Wasn't until, right? Still early. But great show. And, had a little FOMO about not working the actual game because I had the opportunity to work for NBC, to work a couple of days, and then leading up to and actually on the game at Levi Stadium. But I just didn't want to be in that circus and that mess. But had a little bit of FOMO once I saw some of my coworkers' pictures and, the Bad Bunny halftime show and everything. But at the same time, it was nice to have the weekend off. And my birthday was Sunday on Super Bowl Sunday, so we got to have a nice party, barbecue, made some good ribs, and had great friends over and family and whatnot, and that was a lot of fun. The Bad Boy halftime show was awesome. I think the symbolism was great in it, and the sort of historia he told of Puerto Rico, and then naming all the countries of both North and South America to share that we're all America. It's not just the United States. We're all America. I'm not a huge Lady Gaga fan, but I think that was cool to have her on there to kind of have something that's more mainstream, a white person on there to say like, hey, like this isn't just about Latin people, but you should also celebrate Latin culture at the same time, celebrate all cultures. I thought it was a pretty good sort of test run, if you will. The Super Bowl seemed to go smooth without any ice issues. So sort of like a test run for the World Cup that's coming up, which we all know there's a lot more, there's tons of Latin fans for Super Bowl and for football, for the NFL, but of course for soccer it's huge. So what will they pull? What kind of shit, excuse my French, will they pull for that as far as ice and DHA, Department of Homeland DHS, Department of Homeland Security. Hopefully it'll be nice and calm, or hopefully it'll be like this. And then of course the Olympics is coming up. We're going through the Winter Olympics now in Milan, but in 2028 there'll be the Winter Olympics in LA. So, again, these big events in California, and how, will ICE be involved, the Latin presence, that kind of thing, the geopolitical climate of that. Hopefully it won't be an issue because, it's sports and there should be just fans going, and why would you want to upset your fans like that? So anyways, that's kind of my thoughts on that. And again, Bad Bunny, I don't care if he speaks in Spanish. I think we should all know Spanish. He's like, oh, we don't know Spanish. Well, you should, because guess what? The Latin American population, the Latino culture in America is pretty predominant. And it's not just on the coast. It's not just California. It's not just, Miami. It's not just New York. It's everywhere. There's Latin American people everywhere. Certainly not in the numbers as, say, Los Angeles or San Francisco or the Bay Area or New York or Miami and whatnot. But they're everywhere, okay? And, if you're not, learning other cultures, I mean, that's what America is. America is a mix of cultures. And unfortunately, with, the history of us, basically a genocide of the Native Americans, they've made quite a comeback. But that's the original culture. There's not a white, it's just insane to think that, the white culture should be the predominant culture in America, because they were the patriarchy for so long. So I do apologize that I'm scruffy. I'm trying to play catch up on this vlog. So that's kind of why I just wanted to just record and go. But yeah, so that's kind of my thoughts of the geopolitical climate of sporting events. I mean, it's crazy that sporting events have to be like that, but it is what it is. And then I want to also mention, shot an episode of Thrift Store Finds, so that's coming up. That will come up out on Friday, I believe, if not Saturday. It's a different one because it's not a musical album, okay? It's Fawlty Towers, the British sitcom. I found that record at a thrift store, and I'm like, what? Wait, this is actually, there's 2 episodes, one on each side. So I basically listened to it and looked for samples. I grade it sort of, but it's different than, a musical album that I'm reviewing and that I'm looking for samples for. So check that out. Look on the playlist Thrift Store Finds and check out some of the older episodes. I also want to share, I bought myself a present. Hold on here. I have it right here. It is the Sonicware Live 4 Lo-Fi 12. Check that out, huh? So I haven't really played with it too much. It's battery operated. It's battery operated, but you can plug it in, obviously. It didn't come with an AC adapter, but I'm going to have to make one work. But it's pretty cool. It's a sequence sampler, sort of made in the vein of like an 808 or a 606 or, whatnot. I believe, so this can actually double as a keyboard. If you notice, these are your whole notes and these are your sharp and flat keys, the black keys and the white keys on a piano. So it's not a full range of a piano, obviously, but and then this would be your 16-step up here. So it's got both, where some sequencers you switch, like I have an Electribe where you have to switch back and forth between a keyboard and the sequencer. So it has both at the same time, which is kind of cool. And there's lots, and then it's got a synthesizer right here where I can change the pitch, it's got an LFO here, release and attack, gate, cutoff and depth and timing, so I can affect like synthesizer kind of effects. It's got synth effects right here, which is really cool. It's got a built-in speaker, and it's got MIDI. So more to come. Eventually, I will do a tech review on this, but I just want to share. Sometimes you got to treat yourself and get some cool stuff. So, anyways, that's kind of all I got for the vlog. But appreciate you watching. Appreciate you supporting the channel, and do subscribe. And again, leave a comment. Tell me about how I can improve, what things that you want to see, or any questions you might have for me as a freelancer or broadcast technician or working in the field, or maybe you want to get started, or maybe there's a discussion you want to get going. Leave it in the comments. Like the video. Put a thumbs down, but again, tell me why. Keep it civil, but I want to have a nice discourse. And hit that notification bell so you know when more videos are coming up. Once again, thanks again so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Watch out for more great content. Have a good day. Peace.